Hello, my most dedicated listeners. It is a pleasure to welcome you back. Today, I want to talk about one of the most important skills in any language, how to introduce yourself. For my fellow learners who are just starting their English journey, the idea of talking about yourself can feel a bit scary. But don't worry. Today, we're going to explore how you can present yourself confidently in any situation, even if you don't consider yourself fluent yet. Let's join our friends Alex and Mark for an evening walk to see how it's done. The sun was beginning to dip below the horizon, casting a warm, golden glow over the city park. Alex, an experienced English speaker, was walking alongside Mark, who had recently started his English studies and was feeling a bit nervous about his upcoming trip abroad. "I'm really worried, Alex," Mark admitted, kicking a pebble along the path. "What if someone asks me about myself at the airport? Or even worse, during a job interview? I feel like I'll just freeze up." Alex smiled, slowing his pace. "Mark, the first thing you need to remember is that you don't need a complex story to make a good impression. You just need to have a few key points ready. It's all about being clear and concise." "Concise?" Mark asked. "I'm not sure I know that one." It means brief and to the point. You don't need to ramble. When you're filling out a form or meeting someone new, people want the essentials. Think of it as your elevator pitch. If you were in an elevator for 30 seconds, what would you say? "Okay, so what's the first step?" Mark asked, looking interested. "It depends on the context," Alex said. "If you are filling out a formal document, it's all about the facts." "Wait, filling out?" Mark interrupted. "Is that like filling up?" That's a great question. People often confuse them. To fill up means to make something full, like filling up your car with gas or your glass with water. But to fill out is specifically used for forms, applications, or questionnaires. You fill out your details on a registration paper. It's a very common phrasal verb, so it's a good one to memorize. Mark repeated. "Fill out a form." Got it. Exactly. Now, when you introduce yourself in a professional setting, like an interview, you should focus on your background and your goals. You might start by saying, "I have a background in," or "I am currently working on." "What if I make a mistake?" Mark asked, looking worried again. "If you make a mistake, don't worry. Everyone does. The trick is to go on as if nothing happened," Alex said. "Go on?" Mark tilted his head. "Does that mean to leave?" No, that would be go away. To go on means to continue. If you stumble over a word, you just take a breath, smile, and go on with your sentence. It shows confidence. They reached a quiet bench and sat down. The city lights were starting to twinkle in the distance. "Okay, let's talk about a different situation," Alex suggested. "What if you're at the airport and a staff member asks you for your details?" "I'd probably be terrified," Mark laughed nervously. "You shouldn't be. Just keep it simple. State your name, your destination, and the reason for your travel. You don't need to tell them your whole life story. Sometimes the most important thing is to get across what you need." "Get across?" Mark asked. "Like getting across a bridge?" In a way, yes. To get across in communication means to successfully convey an idea or a message. If you are at a ticket counter, you need to get across that you have a reservation or that you need help finding your gate. If the person doesn't understand, don't worry about using fancy words. Use simple ones. If you don't know the word luggage, you can point and say, "These are my bags." "I like that," Mark said. "It feels less like a test and more like a tool." Exactly. Now, how about social situations? Let's say you're at a conference or a casual party and you meet someone new, Alex continued. "That's where I get stuck," Mark admitted. "I never know how to start." "Don't look down on yourself for that," Alex said warmly. "Most people feel the same." "Wait, look down on? Does that mean to feel sad? Actually, no. To look down on someone means to think they are less important or less capable than you. Please never do that to yourself. Be proud of the fact that you are learning a new language. Instead, try to look for common ground. Like finding shared interests? Exactly. Start with a simple greeting. Hi, I'm Mark. It's a pleasure to meet you. Then add one small, interesting fact about yourself. I'm here to learn more about the city. Or, I'm a big fan of photography. It gives the other person something to talk about. Mark nodded, feeling the pressure lifting. So, preparation is key. I should have a few intro sentences ready for different situations. That is the best strategy, Alex agreed. It's like having a backpack full of supplies before a hike. You don't exactly know what you'll face, but you're prepared for the terrain. I think I should write these down, Mark said, pulling out his phone. Can you tell me one more phrasal verb? Something to do with meetings? How about to show up? Alex suggested. Does that mean to arrive? Yes, if you show up to an event or a meeting, it means you arrive there. For example, I showed up at the airport 2 hours early. It's very common. I see. So if I show up to an interview, I should be prepared to fill out some forms and get my message across, Mark summarized. You've got it. You are already doing better than you think. You're learning to navigate these situations naturally, and that is what fluency is all about. It's not about perfection, it's about connection. The two friends stood up and began walking back toward the center of the park. The cool evening air was refreshing. I feel much more confident about my trip now, Alex, Mark said, smiling. I'll just take it one step at a time. I'll prepare my introduction, I'll stay calm, and I'll remember that I'm just communicating, not performing. That's the right attitude, Alex said. And remember, if you ever feel stuck, just ask for help. Asking, could you please repeat that? Or, how do you say that in English? Is a perfectly acceptable part of a self-introduction. It shows that you are curious and engaged. As they walked, they practiced a few role-play scenarios. Mark played the traveler, and Alex played the hotel receptionist. Then they switched roles. They laughed at their mistakes, but with every repetition, Mark's voice sounded stronger and more natural. You know, Alex, Mark said as they reached his apartment building, the best part about learning English isn't just the words. It's the fact that I'm not afraid to show up in the world anymore. I'm ready to start the conversation. And that, Alex said, patting his friend on the shoulder, is exactly why you're going to succeed. They said their goodbyes, both feeling that the evening had been well spent. Mark went inside, already planning to write down his new introduction phrases. He felt a sense of clarity he hadn't possessed before. He realized that the world was waiting for him, and he finally had the right words to introduce himself to it. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson and you are now able to introduce yourself in any situation without difficulty, sharing all the important and necessary information. Remember, your self-introduction is your first step in building new relationships and opening new doors. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Every time you introduce yourself, you are getting one step closer to becoming the communicator you want to be. Good luck with your journey, and see you next time.